Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this edition of the Brown Dad. As you can see, I'm here with a very special dad, Jayesh Kotak. Jayesh, I have known you for so many years, and I've seen you grow up from a troubled youth to where you are today. I do want to thank you for doing the interview with us today. Please say hi to our guests.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and happy to spend some time with you guys talking about things.
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate it. Here at the Brown Dad, we're always trying to share unique stories, and we're trying to share this message of patriarchy to partnership. And I think you embody that journey very well. Now, Jayesh, if you'd like to share with our viewers, where is it that you were born?
So I was born in the Middle East, Doha, Qatar, to be specific.
Right.
Qatar is a small country, one of the smallest Middle Eastern countries. It's close to Dubai. There's a lot of people when I moved here didn't know where that was.
Right.
I would just say Dubai or one of those more known countries to just make the process easier of explanation. But yeah, Doha, Qatar.
I can attest to that because I was born in Doha, Qatar myself, right?
Oh yeah.
Ahmed Hospital, right? And you're telling these people, and they're like, "What? Qatar? What is that place?" Right? No one knew. I think after next year, I think everyone will know the place because of the World Cup that's supposed to be happening, right?
Yes.
Or this year, sorry. Yeah, so I believe it's this year, 2022. But that being said, Jayesh, you grew up in a totally different world. Totally different country and totally different experience. And you obviously grew up over there. Now, just sourcing what it is your childhood was like. What was it like growing up in a different country? Because now you're obviously in Canada, North America, right? And what was that experience like?
I think it's a big part of me and who I became and who I developed into. It was a great. I used to have a good life there. I think my dad was doing fairly well at the time, as far as I remember.
Right.
It was a good, decent upbringing. I went to a private British school because the local schools there were like not really something you want to go to, and they don't welcome, like the local Arabic schools don't really welcome you that much.
Right.
So we would have to either go to a local Indian school or one of the private schools that were available at the time. It was still a very growing nation. There wasn't that much available or ready for immigrants and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, there was no public infrastructure, no public buses, no public libraries, any of that stuff.
Yeah. It was fairly underdeveloped at the time. A lot of new Indian immigrants at the time were moving there because they were getting better opportunities than India itself, I guess. And that's the reason, they would, because of all the development, they hired a lot of engineers, and my dad was a construction engineer, civil engineer.
Nice.
And that's why he was hired there.
Nice.
And started a family there.
Nice. So your dad was a civil engineer in the Middle East, and that's what he did full time?
Yes, that's what he started off doing initially, and then he kind of went down his own path and went into real estate and a bunch of other things.
Right. Very nice.
Yeah, I wasn't too familiar with his business at the time because I was fairly young when we left Doha. I was 12 years old.
Right.
So, but I know he used to work a construction civil engineer job, and then he started doing his own business and trading in real estate and stuff like that. And that's what he was doing when we left.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something different, right? And it's very entrepreneurial. And I think on some level it wears off on you. So, I mean, we'll definitely get into that a little later. So then how was that experience growing up, with your dad and that experience of him being in this entrepreneurial real estate space? What was that experience like for you?
Honestly, like I said, I was fairly young at the time, so I don't think my dad played a big role in my want to become an entrepreneur. I would say it was more credited towards my mom.
Okay.
Because once we moved to Canada, she actually took on the entrepreneurial spirit and started working for herself and developed a name and brand for herself here.
Yeah.
I would say she's more of an influence than my dad was, just simply because of my age and what I remember from him. He hasn't been a part of our life since about when I was like 15 years old.
Right.
So there's not much I remember about him.
Right. So you grew up almost in a single parent home then?
Pretty much. From what I remember, because until I was about 10 years old, 11 years old, we used to live in Doha. And then when we were 12, when I turned 12, we moved here.
Right.
And it was mainly my mother raising us.
Right. That's that's definitely quite a challenge, right? Having to move from one country to a different country, and then having to deal, I mean, with the challenges of being in a different country, and then having to deal with the challenges of a missing parent, right? It can't be easy. I can't imagine it to be easy in any which way. Before we get into your mom's entrepreneurial spirit, and shout out to your mom, right? We'll do a quick
Yeah.
we'll do a quick link on her bio on the bottom. Punita Henna. I see you got that lovely dad mug.
Oh yeah.
You always nominated by the fam. I see. Yeah, like I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it was a gift from my wife and my daughter
Nice.
the first time around.
Nice.
And then I actually broke it one time, and then for my next birthday or Father's Day, it was.
Yeah.
Christmas. She asked me what I wanted, and I said I want the same exact mug again.
Right.
And she got me it. So yeah.
Nice.
Because I was upset that I broke it.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, just coming back to that point where now you've moved to Canada, you've obviously got this new place that you're in. What was it like growing up for you over here? Like, what were those years like?
I'd like to say it was easy and fun, but it was a mix of both. Like I had a good network. I think we had some family here, not as much as the Middle East, but we had some family here that was helpful in getting us settled in and stuff. And it came with its challenges. I wouldn't say it was like fun and easy growing up, but there was bullying and stuff like that. When I first moved here, I was like kind of bullied in my middle school that I was in because I guess my mom used to cook a lot of Indian food, and that was the first thing I was bothered with. I was caught. They used to say I smell of Indian cooking, food. So that was a challenge growing up.
Right.
And I used to blame my mom for it, but in the end, it was my fault for not just changing my clothes. But yeah, it was fairly good. Like once I got into high school and stuff, it went more into cruise control mode where I just stayed with the process and just kept going and tried to make do of what was possible.
And how were those high school years? Because I know they were a little rocky. It led to a lot of challenges.
High school was good as well. I was just beginning to explore myself and find myself out as an individual. I was trying to fit in and be cool at the same time. So it was a mix of like I had a lot of inner battles with making decisions about what to do, what is the right thing, what was the wrong thing. And I could say that I made the wrong choice a few times, but I also made a few good choices. So I think overall it was a learning curve, and I got through it successfully.
Yeah. And sometimes it's that, sometimes it's the company that you find yourself in that makes that difference, right? So I'm glad you were able to find a positive thing. I mean, we definitely had a funny story that we were sharing from earlier on in your school days, from the Big Brother stories that you had. You were sharing a story about how you got kicked out of school for.
Yes, that was actually in Doha, not in Canada.
Oh, okay.
It was
okay.
So I was in a strict Muslim country, and we were in a British private school, and the headmaster was pretty strict, and I had found some images, 18 plus R-rated images in my brother's bag, and I thought it'd be cool to come show my friends at school, and I did that, and then I got caught doing it, and I was kicked out. I believe I was suspended for I think a few weeks, and this is in grade 5 or 6, so it's not really something that happens too often. I think at that age, but I started early in that sense, you could say.
and it's funny because now, I mean, everything is just so accessible. Literally, you turn on your phone or your computer, and it's just there, right? This R-rated world, so to speak. So it's interesting how we grew up in a time where all of this stuff is so differently awesome.
It was much more taboo, I think, then. And it's the fact that I had it and was I was doing it. I was probably doing it to be cool in school, and yeah, people thought I was cool because I did it, but I got suspended for it. So it's like,
Don't do those things. You're gonna get suspended.
Exactly. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone,
No,
especially now where it's very. I'm worried actually about my kids, like how they'll experience that stuff growing up. It's with such ease of access, like you
right,
said. So see
right.
what happens.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge. I think as a dad, one of the hardest things. I mean, I've obviously got a small child over here, as you can see. That's
Yeah,
part of my journey of being a dad. I try to do these interviews whenever the dad's available. So regardless of whether my child's with me or not, that's a struggle of a brown
yeah,
dad, right? So that's part of it. But you then moved from here. You moved from here to Australia, I believe, right?
yes. So when I was 2012, no, yeah, 2013, I moved to Australia. No, 2012, end of 2012, I moved to Australia because I was presented with an opportunity I was going to Sheridan College at the time.
Right.
There was a presentation where we could do like an exchange program sort of thing, and I could get my bachelor's degree because Sheridan just gives you a diploma. I was in the advanced diploma program for
Right.
business and marketing,
Right.
and they would pretty much. I was already a little bit behind in terms of where I should be. I was 24 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and like you're supposed to be graduated and working, and
Right.
like
Right.
already in the line of work at
Right.
that age, but I was still behind because of all my issues I had in the past.
Right.
And so I thought that getting a bachelor's degree in a year and a half, as opposed to going to a local university after Sheridan and getting it in 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
was a good thing, and it was a learning curve. And to be honest, my older brother,
Mm-hmm.
was the one who talked me into it. He
Right.
offered me the support I needed. He like pushed me. He said, "You need to get out of your comfort zone. You
Right.
need to do it, and it'll be a great experience for you." And yeah, he pushed me. We made it happen. And yeah,
Shout out to your big brother as well, right?
shout out to him, man.
Yeah.
He's been one of the biggest positive influences in my life.
Yeah.
Growing up.
He's a good friend of mine, and I mean, he's not aware of this interview, so we'll obviously send him and surprise him at the fact that you're doing this interview. I think it'll be, I think for him it'll be fruition because he's seen you in your traumatic times, and then go through all of this into where it is that you are today. And then you moved from Australia. You moved to Dubai, right?
Yes. So I moved back to Canada, and then I moved for like 2-3 months, and then I moved back to Dubai because again he used to live in Dubai at the time, and again this was his direction and suggestion that
His guidance, so to speak.
Because I used to love going to visit him. Right. I used to go visit him. He moved there in 2007.
Right.
In 2007, he moved there to become a private pilot.
Right.
And I used to like go visit him every year or two. Go party. He would take us out, show us a good time.
Right.
And I just fell in love with Dubai and like the lifestyle, the culture, everything.
Right.
And he said, "Why don't you come try your luck here? Try to get a job here." Right. And he's like, "My place," because he was actually transitioning at 2013, 14. Now we're talking.
Right.
Half later, he was transitioning to move to a better position in India.
Yeah.
For his work.
Right.
So he said, "My place will be open here." He had a condo there.
Right.
He said, "Come, try it out for a couple of months. No good. Nice. Go back to Canada. What's the worst you can do?"
Very nice. Yeah.
That's what we did. I moved there, and
it's smart move, right? I know Dubai has this. Their advertising says, Habibi, they say money can't buy happiness. Come to Dubai, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Very true. I don't think it can buy you happiness, but it's everything close enough to it.
Right.
Everything you need for happiness is provided there, or can be bought in most cases.
Yeah, it's a very different lifestyle. I mean, they live a very opulent lifestyle. The rich are very rich, and then there's obviously a big divide, right, between the two
yes.
the two segments of society, so to speak. So then you moved to Dubai, and then you found your wife over there, and you starting this family, and at that point in time. So then from Dubai, what were you doing in Dubai? Were you working?
Yes, I was working in at a real estate company, one of their biggest real estate companies in property management. I was actually I wanted to work more within my field, but I think just the real estate part and like everything attracted me to it because my family, my dad, like I told you, used to be in real estate, and it's just something that's always intrigued me. Like I've always thought of real estate investing as one of my future ways to progress and invest in myself for my family. Yeah, it was a great experience. I was doing property management. I was a property manager pretty much, and I was handling a portfolio of about 300-400 properties, condo houses, and everything. It was challenging, but it was also a great experience, I'd say.
Definitely. But how was that experience? So did you find a language barrier, like the fact that you were off in a different country? Did that have an impact for you from a business standpoint?
Not so much, mainly because the company was owned by a Canadian person.
Okay.
There, but the majority of people working there were Indian. So I would say 90% of the office staff I worked with was Indian, as a couple of Arabs, handful of Europeans, but mainly Indian. So it was comforting in that sense because they all spoke Hindi. And my Hindi is not the best. Like I grew up learning it from movies, but I still understand and speak most of it. And it was comforting in that nature because I had people that were treating me like like friends and family around. It wasn't that challenging, I would say. And I also understand some Arabic because I grew up in Doha, Qatar. And mainly all the tenants and everything that I dealt with were all English, some Arabs. It was a good mix. I don't think language was a big issue at all.
And Dubai being a very big central business hub, I believe most of their business is primarily conducted. Because of the international standard would be in the language of business being English, right? So
So Arabic is the main second language, or when you go to legal stuff, it's might even be the primary language, I think. But overall, it's mainly conducted in English and Arabic. Like even the contracts and everything needs to be in both languages.
Right. Interesting. So then now from Dubai, you then came over to Canada as a married man, because you got married in Dubai and then you settled with your wife, and then you came here, and then you started looking for work, right?
Yes. So we moved back after about 3-4 years in Dubai because there's a lot of factors that went into it. My mother living in Canada was one of the reasons. I wanted to also develop something for myself and our family because Dubai, even though we have a lot of close family there and a pretty decent structure there, to most people it feels like quite a temporary place, especially the people I worked with and the people that come there mainly for the lifestyle for a short period of time, but then when they're starting a family or something, they move back to their home country or wherever else in the world that's more suited for it. For us, we had the option of both. There's multiple factors involved. I was kind of getting bored and I felt like I had reached my maximum capacity within my line of work that I was there, and I didn't feel any growth was possible, at least at the pace that I wanted or needed it to be. And I just needed a change. I feel like I come through this mind state every 4 or 5 years where I feel like I need a change
and grow.
Much of the same thing again and again, and
it's part of. I think it's part of being part of being in that growth mindset, because it is important that we grow, right? If you stagnate, then you're just going to be stuck over there, and then how do you become a beacon of hope for your family and your next generation, right? Because that's part of what it is. You did speak about your mom and the fact that she's got this entrepreneurial spirit, and I know because I've been to a lot of bridal shows, right?
Yes.
And
you've been through there most of it, yes.
Yeah, I've even filled henna cones and done all of that. So
henna cone, handing out flyers, we're there for all of it.
PunitaHenna.com, right? The site is still live for anyone.
Yeah, I believe it's punitahenna.ca. I'll just double check on my phone.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't put much time or energy into it, mainly because her level of output has decreased a lot with age.
Right.
So we haven't been, but I'm pretty sure I did her page. Anyways, you can find her on Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
Punita Henna.
Right.
Her page, I don't think I've renewed no one even looks at websites anymore. I haven't renewed the hosting whatever.
Right. No, I mean it's a juggle for you because obviously then when you came over here, mom running her business, you having a new family, and you searching trying to source a job, you then moved into a role that was a little more entrepreneurial in the towing business, right?
Yes. So it was I wanted that flexibility, and I had a good friend of mine, one of my best friends actually gave me the opportunity to work with them until I figure out what I'm doing.
Right.
Just, get me on my feet and get the ball rolling over here.
Yeah.
And so I got into the towing business where I'd be pretty much like a subcontractor,
Right.
you could say, and I'd be working on my own hours, working my own time,
Right.
The same thing as working for yourself, except I was under someone's direction, but
Right.
I had to. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid. I wasn't on a salary or anything.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that obviously will take a toll, right? Being in the entrepreneurial space and being on call 24/7 obviously would take a toll on your family, right? But now,
Yes.
before we even get into that, you just came to the country not too long. You then found this new role, and you had a very, very traumatic experience 4 years ago, Feb, I believe Feb 2018. You had a
Yes.
very crazy accident that happened. Did you want to share with our viewers? I thought you were going to take out your hat there for a moment. You can. You're more than welcome to.
I can if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm sweating a bit.
That's okay. You can take out the hat. Yeah.
So, as you can see, I have some
scarring. Yeah.
Scarring and
battle scars.
Cosmetic damage to my head and skull.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
It's like an indentation. So that's the part of my skull they actually had to remove as a part of my treatment to fix or to treat my. So it was called a TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, and they had classified it as a severe TBI, which is what my medical document said.
Right.
And it was caused by a mishap, pretty much. I think I was asleep. I still don't remember anything about it, but it was after a friend's birthday party, and I had a few drinks, and I had fallen from my upstairs in my mom. I was still living with my mom at the time.
Yeah. It's okay. It's part of the tow truck business. You have to be always on call.
Sorry.
Right? It's also part of being a dad. I understand.
So I had an accident. I fell over from the railing of her upstairs floor, first floor, second floor, and hit the ground on her ground floor. So it was a fall of about at least 12 to 15 feet.
Head first on tile.
Head first, unconscious on a bleeding, and I think I made initial impact with a stairs railing, the railing for her staircase.
Right.
And I can't say I remember much about the actual incident itself, like because it was I was knocked out cold. It was.
I can imagine because I know you were in coma. You were in a coma for a couple of weeks, right? So that.
Yes.
I mean, as friends, we came to see you in the hospital, and it was definitely a harrowing experience for us, seeing you in that state. It couldn't have been easy, because then the rehab portion of it, because with the coma, and being in this traumatic brain injury state, obviously the diagnosis was very bleak, and must have been very traumatic for your spouse at that time. You were still not a father at that time, right?
No. Yes, we hadn't had any kids yet, and. My wife has actually just moved because we had immigration issues when we moved from Dubai because she was a British citizen. She's from the UK.
Right.
And she moved here and we had some PR card and immigration issues and she finally had sorted out all of that and she had just moved in.
Right.
She had obviously visited me a couple of times in between on a visitor status, but she had recently just come back as a PR herself to move here.
Right.
And it was quite... I can't speak from their perspective, but from what I've heard in all the days and months and weeks, that it was quite difficult of a time because doctors didn't really have much hope about me surviving, and they said it was pretty slim chances of me coming out of something like this.
Right.
and living.
And being functional, right? In any sort
Functional,
of
exactly. Even if
in
I was to survive, it would be pretty. I would be.
paraplegic and probably quadriplegic or something of that sort, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So I was
No.
very, very lucky. Like I still, every time I see my surgeon or ophthalmologist for follow up, they keep telling me the same thing. Every 6 months to a year, when I see them, they said, "Oh, the lucky guy." I
Just
was very lucky in how I recovered and
to
the
all our
fact that I
viewers,
did recover.
make sure you don't decide to nosedive from a second floor building.
Yeah, that won't be happening again anytime soon.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a sobering experience because having to go through all of that rehab then, and having
Yeah.
to come back to being, fully functional and things of that sort. Thankfully, I mean we've spoken about this, but thankfully the only sort of negative impact aside from the cosmetic is a lack of sense of smell, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So yeah, losing there's a nerve right under your brain.
right.
It's called, I believe it's called the olfactory nerve,
Yes,
and it can either like detach or like sever
right,
from a brain injury.
right,
And it's like from a not so severe brain injury, you could lose your sense of smell for about up to 6 months.
right.
But once if it's past 6 months, then it ends up being forever pretty much, and that's the
Right,
case with me. I've lost my sense of smell.
right.
But in if you put it into terms of what happened, it's pretty small side effect from having a traumatic brain injury, and yeah,
As long as the rest of it's functioning, right? Now,
yeah, I'm very
yeah,
lucky that my eyesight is fine, my movement, everything else is good. I lost my sense of smell and just this the visual
yeah,
cosmetic scarring.
yeah. No, that's definitely quite a challenging experience, right? And the reason I brought it up is because obviously you went through a lot of trauma, you went through a lot of change, you decided to make a lot of change, you come back here, and now you're having to go through this experience, and it couldn't have been easy because now coming through that new immigrant wife, new immigrant life, and having to readjust and everything else, definitely challenging. But then I definitely have to ask because now you then stepped into a role of being a dad and now a second time dad. Congratulations on that as well,
Thank you.
right?
Thank
Uh,
you. Yeah.
how does that impact you as a dad? This
My
entire
injury?
no, not just the injury, just this entire experience of how it is that you whatever it is that you've encountered to now, your experience growing up in a different country, your experience with your own dad, your own mom, your challenges. What does that impact you? In what do you then see like the ideal dad as? What type of dad do you aspire to be?
I think it definitely makes me a lot more appreciative of the fact that I'm able to become a dad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I wasn't saved in the accident, I thank my doctor every time too, because if I wasn't saved, then the children would have never been born because they weren't conceived and born until after everything, I was
Right,
recovered and everything.
right,
And might I add that like my wife was a big factor in my recovery. She was very supportive. She used to drive me to all my rehab things and everything. Like she was one of the biggest things that brought me back to life. And her and my mom and the support of my friends and family, and it was just it's insurpassable. Like
yeah, yeah,
I can't ever thank them enough for doing what they did to
yeah,
bring me what I'm here today.
yeah,
But I think it just makes me feel very lucky. Like I try to savor and relish the moments as much as I can, and try not to let you know. I try to again just savor every moment and try
yeah,
to enjoy it as much as I can.
yeah,
Because sometimes I think about like you can't help but be negative, and sometimes like how long can this luck last?
right,
I have to make the most of it in my
right,
time
right,
because we never know what something little thing could go wrong and
yeah.
things could change for the bad. So you just gotta make the most of what you got. I
Life,
think
life
you
definitely
still
is
life
very
for today.
fragile, right? That life is definitely fragile. I mean, in the entire experience that you've had, you definitely attest to the fragility of everything and the impermanence of our situations, right? So I definitely agree with you. Living in the moment definitely is something that you can pass on to your kids. So that being said, let me ask, what words of wisdom would you leave for our viewers, like our dads?
Honestly, I'm not probably not one of the wisest or like well-lived people, but I think just like what I said, just live life for what it is. Don't take anything for granted, even your health, your life, your capacity on this planet. Just live life for what it is and make everything count. Don't make decisions that you think you'll regret in the future because sometimes there is no future. So do what you want when you want it. Don't wait for stuff. Don't put it off. Get it done.
Right.
Make it happen, I think.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No.
And yeah, obviously, because this podcast is called The Brown Dad, I would say
be there for your kids.
Be there for your kids. Like being an influential dad, I'm not. I feel like I could say that I want to correct the things. I feel like my goal in life is to try to provide what I felt I was lacking while growing up. So I want to be there for my kids more than my parents were able to be, whether it was by choice or by because they had to work or whatever it was.
Right.
I want to be able to. It's hard to say like be the perfect dad, but everyone has their own idea of what that means. But my idea is I just want to be there for them and in any way or shape or form possible.
Right. Right.
Whether it's not necessarily financially, spiritually, physically, mentally, whatever it is, I just want to be there for them.
Whatever they need.
Do the best I can.
Right. No, that's definitely commendable, right? And coming, as you said, from all those experiences, having to go through from one country to another country, living as an immigrant, and then, having to grow up with a single parent, and those challenges, and as you said, the entrepreneurial side of when a parent is entrepreneurial, obviously that takes away from the family, that time, and then you learning from that experience definitely is definitely something commendable. So, I mean, that brings us to the end of our interview, right? And I do have to thank you for taking the time on out of your busy schedule. We can hear those beeps going off on your little on your messenger there.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. It was nice to talk to you. Like I know we talk usually on a personal level a lot, but in context, it was nice to get to it. And I'm glad Riley could be part of it too. She seems like she wants to go to sleep.
Yeah, no, she's kind of used to this by now. A couple of my other interviews, she's there, and like I try to juggle her. It's just part of my brown dad experience. So one day maybe
exactly. I feel like soon she'll be able to co-host and come up with questions of her own. Be like, Dad, you need to ask more in depth.
I can see it. I can see it happening.
Yeah, definitely.
But as I said, that brings us to the end of our episode on the Brown Dad. We're here with Jayesh Kotak. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank you for having me. And I look forward to seeing more of these in the future from other people. And thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And I wish you all the best, on the new journey that you're going to be taking, whatever it is that you do. You're obviously looking for new experiences. So we hope to share in the future some new experiences that you have with our viewers.
Me too. I hope I can adapt and try to figure stuff out, and sort of you follow your path over time. You're so diversified in everything you do. You do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I can't even do half the stuff right now. So I'm hoping my capacity increases to that level eventually.
Yeah, I think we just grow into those roles, right? That's part of what it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's say goodbye to our viewers. So goodbye once again. Tune in for our next episode on the Brown Dad, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening in, and take care. Have a good day.
Take care.